I've lived in Kyoto for a while, and honestly, I think I've seen it all. Here are the mistakes I see most tourists make, from things that will just help your trip go more smoothly to faux pas so you can avoid being that tourist. Hi everyone, it's Abby from Pictour. I'm a photographer and guide in Japan. You can see more about me here, and let's get started. My mistake zero that I see is coming here without preparation. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're trying to prepare. So good job, you're already halfway there. But if you need more advice, I actually have a surplus of information in my other videos and on my blog. And on the blog, we also have a trip timeline page which will walk you through every step of your trip. So feel free to check that out. Mistake number 1, using only Google Maps to choose restaurants. So you might be surprised to know that Japanese people actually don't really use Google Maps as much as people from other countries do. And when they do use it, they use it a little bit differently. So whereas me personally, if I go somewhere and I think, yeah, it was good, I'm giving them 5 stars. But when you read Japanese reviews, it'll say something like, great food, staff was nice, good ambiance, would go again, 3 stars. So for Japanese people, 3 stars is kind of like the standard of good. If you see a 4 star, that's like gotta be Michelin. And if you see 5 stars, well, I don't know. I have yet to see it from Japanese people. Sometimes if you see somewhere that is 5 stars, it'll be somewhere that might be trendy with foreign tourists. And for that reason, they might have longer queues and food prices might be higher as well. And that's not to say that all of these places are necessarily bad, but it is something to think about that maybe while you're in Japan, sometimes you ought to do as the Japanese do. Some of the best meals that I have found in Japan have been places that I have found organically. Some positive signs would be places that you see locals at, places that might have like a handwritten menu outside, and of course just places that look and smell good. And when you come across some of these smaller, maybe even like hole-in-the-wall kinds of places, you are definitely not the first confused person that's ever been in there, and you won't be the last. And if you just get Google Translate, get ChatGPT, point, just do your best, and remember that literally nobody cares. At the end of the day, you're gonna have a great meal, and I think that being brave will sometimes lead you to these great things, and you'll find, wow, that was worth it. Mistake number 2 is having an imbalanced schedule. So this is usually caused by people that are trying to only go to very popular touristy places, or people that are trying so hard to avoid crowds that they're going out of their way to perhaps underwhelming places, and they go home confused, like, why is everyone here like visiting Japan? Like, what was the point of that? And then of course that first group is gonna go home tweeting like, it was so busy, there's crowds everywhere. So balance is everything. I always say that there's a reason the top spots are famous. Somewhere like Kiyomizu Temple has just such a depth of history and fascinating culture, and the iconic streets leading up to it are just so beautiful and interesting that it deserves its status, and for that reason, I include it in my main Kyoto tour, even though there may be crowds. But just remember, you don't need to go to these places and elbow your way through at 2 p.m. I tend to go in the mornings, and then there's other places you might be able to go more at night or in the evening or in seasons like summer or winter when it's not holidays, it can be slower than the other seasons. Regardless, enjoy your trip with a balance. So maybe that means going to one of these popular spots followed up by something that is more peaceful, like going to an experience like a tea ceremony, or going to a Zen temple or a garden or somewhere that's going to be more tranquil so you can balance out your experiences. I also recommend incorporating balance into your itinerary in other ways by including activities. So things like unique seasonal events or markets, sports games, maybe festivals or some theme parks, and consider how having this more rounded out, balanced itinerary will help you see more of the best of what these cities have to offer. Mistake number 3 is not thinking strategically about your hotel locations. So I get a lot of questions about hotels, understandably so. And first off, I just want to remark that I have been to cheap hotels and I have been to beautiful, luxurious hotels in Japan. And honestly, all of them were great experiences. I've really never been anywhere that I felt was bad. And then the other thing I want to talk about is to think about where your hotel is located. And I have 2 main notes about this. The first is that I recommend staying somewhere near a major train station or a central city area. So I think a lot of people perhaps do not understand how large some of the cities in Japan are. That might sound silly, but when it comes to even a city like Kyoto that is often looked at as being, more like these small, charming little streets, I think it shocks people when they realize that you definitely cannot do Kyoto in one day, and you can barely do it in 2 or 3 days. Everything is very spread out. There are so many things to do, and if you are staying all the way up here, but then all the things you want to see are also here, here, and here, that's going to be really inconvenient. So staying somewhere more in the center, or like by Kyoto Station, which is also pretty centrally located and has good accessibility to everything, might be worth it. The other area I recommend staying in Kyoto besides near Kyoto Station would be near Kawaramachi Station, which is also a good station. It will get you to Osaka quickly, and it has a lot to do around it, of course, such as the Teramachi shopping street that I have a video on over here. My second note about thinking about where your hotel is located is people often get caught up on names that they know. So maybe they hear Gion and they think, I gotta stay near Gion. And what they do is they look up hotels near Gion and they find something really beautiful and it's, marketed well. And they get there thinking it's going to be by that big pagoda and by those beautiful streets. And they end up near the Kamigawa River, a 15-minute walk from all of that stuff they were envisioning. So I'm sure that hotel that they're going to stay at is going to be beautiful, but it's really not what they signed up for. And I genuinely have heard this story so many times that I am telling it to you so that you can remember to check your hotel's walking distance from things that you really want to be located near. Mistake number 4 is not pre-booking your key experiences. So sometimes I get people that ask me for fancy dinner recommendations for tonight. Maybe add this to your list of things to think about beforehand. If you know that, when you're in Japan, Friday night's going to be Aunt Jane's birthday, and you want to take her out somewhere special, you're going to want to book that in advance. And this really applies to Michelin or upscale restaurants, even just like quote unquote fancy restaurants, themed cafes, very competitive. Theme park express passes. I have a whole video on that. You should book that in advance. Or popular experiences like tea ceremonies or team labs. All of these are things that people want to go to. This especially applies if you have a group of 5-ish or more people, or if you're coming here at a busy time of the year, aka cherry blossoms or fall foliage or a Japanese holiday. So just use your common sense. If there's a place you really, really want to go, and that is a key experience for you, is the way I like to put it, maybe just check if they suggest making reservations. And you can usually find that out through Google reviews or literally just going to their website. Now, this leads me to my mistake number 5, which is packing every single moment of your trip. So some of you have heard mistake number 4, and now you're sitting there panicking like, oh my God, I need to book everything. I'm not going to make it to see anything because everything's going to be booked out. Relax. Really, you just need to focus on making reservations for those key experiences that I've talked about. And I have also witnessed a fair amount of trip burnout from people that got too stressed or too excited and literally booked every single moment of their trip. So a few tips. Firstly is pencil in rest time. Rest time should be on your itinerary every day. This is time to go back to your hotel and put your feet up after doing 25,000 steps a day and working an office job for 20 years. This is time to sit at a cafe and just people watch and just relax. This is time to actually enjoy the shops that you're walking by rather than just speed running them. And all of this is especially important if you have children. Next, don't overbook yourself. So if you overbook every single thing, all you're going to be thinking about is getting to your next reservation. If you make lunch reservations every day, all morning, you're just going to be thinking about, I got to be at this place at this time. And you really take away that kind of natural organicness of just walking around and exploring and finding things. And I really believe that you will find when you get to Japan that there are restaurants everywhere, there are things to do everywhere, and you will regret not having some of the opportunities to just find these places yourself. So, this is to say, book those key experiences, just don't book too much. Lastly, one tip for not packing every single moment of your trip: save energy where you can. So if you are from the West specifically, you are going to be shocked when you come to Japan and you see how cheap everything is. My husband and I can go out to eat a nice meal for $20 to $30 total. And if we spend more than that, it's probably either a special occasion or we really went hard at the a la carte yakiniku joint or something like that. Even places in Japan like zoos, museums, entry to temples and castles, and these things are super duper affordable. And so what I think you should do is put some of that money towards other things. And what I mean by that is things that make your life more convenient. For example, taxis. So my soapbox is people going to Kiyomizu Temple and they take the bus. And why this gets me on my soapbox is because every day I walk by there and I see a line that is like 2 blocks long, literally no joke, like up to 2 blocks long, of people waiting for a bus to take them to somewhere like Kyoto Station. And what I want you to know is that when that bus arrives, it will be packed. And out of that line, maybe you'll push 5 or 6 people onto that bus. And then that bus is off. And then you got to wait another 5 to 10 minutes for another bus. And in that time that you have been standing there, 30 to 45 minutes maybe for that bus, and then you get on the bus and it's just packed and you're uncomfortable and it takes you double the time that a cab would to get somewhere because it's got to stop every 100 feet or so. You could have already been in your hotel chilling. Like, you could already be relaxing. And especially if you have a big family, it's going to cost you almost the same anyway to take a cab. So taking a cab from Kiyomizu Temple to Kyoto Station will cost you like $10 American, maybe $15 on like a bad day. And that's about what it will even cost you to take the bus collectively as a group. So just sometimes convenience is worth it. And sometimes you need to put yourself first. And remember that you are just out here doing your best, but don't make yourself more tired than you need to be for no good reason. And yes, I will be stepping down from my soapbox now. Thank you for listening. Mistake number 6 is carrying your luggage everywhere. So you will be shocked at how many people are like rolling big suitcases up like historic streets, through temples. They got their whole like hiking Mount Fuji gear inside of a shrine. And I get it. You've just arrived or you're like in between hotels, but I promise you there is an easier way. Taking all this stuff around everywhere is not only going to make you more tired more quickly, it's going to make you miserable, and honestly, it just looks really inconsiderate. Instead, why don't you just use coin lockers or use your hotel's luggage storage or use Takyubin? Takyubin is the Japan luggage forwarding system, and it is so affordable. It is very fast. I have more information about it on my blog right here. But your luggage will probably get to your next hotel before you do, and it will be sitting there comfortably waiting for you to arrive after enjoying your day bag free. All right, mistake number 7 is assuming that temples and other places stay open late. A lot of people tell me they are shocked that things in Japan close early. Yes, they do. All, all the old people, they've got to go home, okay? And especially temples in Japan do close early. So if there are certain temples you want to go to, most places shut their gates around 5 p.m., sometimes with last entry around like 4:30 p.m., especially in winter when it gets dark early. So make sure to consider this. Check their Google hours, or actually, I recommend going to their website and checking because oftentimes these places have seasonal hours. Check that. And even shops, castles, gardens, a lot of places will close early. So if there's something you really want to see and it is on a specific time in your itinerary, just check beforehand that it'll be open in the first place. Also, fun note, shrines often stay open 24/7. Shrines are more likely than temples to not have paid entry. And if you have paid entry, you have staff. And if you have staff, your staff got to clock out and go home at a certain time. So a lot of shrines are open in the evening and at night, and also like at 3 a.m. if for some reason you need to go to a shrine at 3 a.m. But there are also many shrines in Japan that are uniquely beautiful in the evening and at night, such as Yasuka Shrine in Kyoto, which is so beautiful because the lanterns light up, and I love to walk through there, and I feel like I'm in an anime. So if you're trying to do some evening sightseeing, especially like in summer when it's hot, consider shrines and just consider the hours of things in general in the first place. All right, number 8 is viewing Japan as a theme park built for tourists. I'm going to try not to get on my soapbox about this, but this one does bother me the most. So Japan is a place where people work and live. I know most of you watching know that, but please remember that you are the guest. You are the guest, okay? And I regularly see people acting in an inappropriate manner. So tips, don't film people praying. Don't touch things unless obviously they are meant for touching. Don't sit down on something that is obviously not for sitting down on. Please, please, please don't just sit anywhere and everywhere. Find a bench, find a cafe, find a McDonald's, sit down there. And keep your voice down. And remember, you are a guest here. But imagine someone walking into your church or your mosque or your temple back home, and they come in and they're loud and they're like taking selfies during prayer and they're eating a Big Mac. You know, like, it's just don't do that. And even if it's not out of malice, remember that you do not want to be that tourist that ends up on social media for doing these kinds of things, because it does happen. In Japan, a little mindfulness goes a very long way. And just remember that just because something is beautiful does not make it entertainment. Number 9 is not remembering the purpose of your vacation. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that the purpose of your vacation is to enjoy your time in Japan together with your family or your friends or your group. If I'm right, give me a like. But sometimes I think people get lost in the FOMO and they really try to make sure that they see everything humanly possible. And the trip turns into more of a checklist than a chance to see a new place together. Common mistakes I see include spending more time trying to capture your trip than living it, spending every moment trying to film for your Instagram reels, or trying to use some fancy new camera you bought just for this trip. Just remember that your travel partner is the person that you love that is sitting next to you and not that camera. So once again, balance. Another mistake might be planning every single moment of your trip around your children and not you or your partner, and vice versa. So even if you travel here alone, remember that your goal should be to enjoy your trip. Whether that means eating every single meal from 7-Eleven or sitting at a park every day for 2 hours watching trains. If you guys are having fun, that means that you are doing it correctly. Lastly, number 10 is taking social media too seriously. So I know most of us are chronically online now, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed about the amount of information on the internet about Japan. And a lot of it is like negativity around traveling there during summer, or how crowded it is in spring, or how crazy all the tourists are acting, or how Gion's closed, or how Japanese people hate foreign tourists or whatever. So this sort of toxic stuff is being promoted on the internet for one primary reason. And I want you to remember this, and that is for clicks. It is not trying to inform you, it is trying to stress you out and get you to click more. So, summer is hot, but it's fine. I'm still alive and well, and summer is actually a fun time to be here. I have a whole video on it. It's got fun festivals. It's got good food like kakigori, shaved ice, and cold noodles. And it can even be less busy than other times of the year outside of holidays. Spring has lots of crowds, but there are also quite a few places you can go that do not have quite so many crowds. And that is once again back to the balance thing. The cherry blossoms are beautiful, by the way, and if seeing them is your dream, please do not get psyched out by randos on the internet and not come here. If that is your dream, fulfill your dream, okay? Also, no, Gion is not closing. I remember that. That was like a year ago. That was a big thing. That was an example of news that was so for clicks, and everyone really played into that, and it was so exhausting. Gion is not closed. Gion is alive and well, and the only things that really got closed were a few minor back streets that are basically now closed off to public traffic that has no purpose to be there. And you would have never ended up there in the first place. So please go to Gion. It is still there and it is doing well. And then tourists are predominantly behaving. And if anything, use some of this like negative news as a reminder that if you are respectful, you will not end up on the news and you will have a fabulous trip. I have never met a group of people that are so collectively understanding as Japanese people. They are so willing to help you out because they know that tourists have no idea what's going on. And I've had more positive encounters with Japanese people now and in the past. And all the time, they really just want to help you out. If you are lost or confused or have whatever concerns, they're really just happy to help you. So take everything you see online with a grain of salt. The internet is not a real place, by the way. And just use the internet as a guiding tool for planning your trip, like you already are being here on this video. Thank you, by the way, for clicking on this video. You're already like 80% successful by coming to watch informative videos about Japan. Good for you. Don't let toxic stuff get you down. I have a special bonus mistake. So special bonus number 11 is not buying Black Thunder. So just to lighten this video back up. If you don't buy this, that's your loss, not mine. This video is not sponsored by Black Thunder. I just care about your snack happiness, so you're welcome. Remember that all of these mistakes are easy to avoid if you just prepare beforehand. Check out my blog and my timeline for helpful information about planning your trip. And that's it. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.